Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about why, as a pastor or a preacher, it is so important that within the first little bit of your sermon, you get people's attention. Because within that first minute, 2 minutes of your sermon, people are going to decide, consciously or subconsciously, if they are going to listen to you. And if they decide not to, they have a smartphone in their pocket that they can just pull out and they can scroll Facebook, they can scroll YouTube, they can scroll Pinterest, they can scroll TikTok. There's so many different things that they could do on their phone that would just tune you out completely. And it's not that they're trying to be malicious when doing it, it's just that you didn't get their attention. And that's why it's so important to understand and know how to get people's attention within that first little bit. And here are 6 very commonly used and very easy ways to get people's attention. Number 1 is ask an attention-getting question. When you do that, it makes people stop and think and engage with your context. 2 is to make an attention-getting statement. Something like saying, I'm going to teach you how to read the Bible and understand it in 30 minutes. That would get somebody's attention because it's like, oh, cool, I'm not going to spend an hour on this, I'm going to spend 30 minutes. 3 is to make a startling fact or statistic. Something like saying how 1 in every 3 people is going to be tall. Something like that, where it's like, oh, it's that many or it's that few. Something like that that's gonna just grip people and make them want to understand why that's important. 4 is to use humor. It is good to be, it's good to be serious, but people don't like to live in a serious state. So when you're making humor, it engages people and it makes their brains go like, oh, this person's cool, I'll listen to them. 5 is to go directly to a passage of scripture. People understand the importance that scripture is. So when you go directly to scripture, it makes people engage because they're like, oh, this is the important stuff, I gotta listen to this. And 6 is to tell an interesting story. That story doesn't necessarily have to be your own. It would be better if it's your own because people want to know about you. They would like to know your family background, where you come from, who you are as a person. Because some people decide what church they're going to based off of who the pastor is. But it doesn't have to be your story. But if it's not your story, if you're telling somebody else's, just make sure that you cite your sources. Don't claim it as your own. That's just not nice. But those are 6 relatively easy ways to get people's attention. And once you have their attention, once they're listening to you, you can go on and talk and they won't be on their phone. Unless, of course, it is the Bible app because they're trying to look at the verse that you are doing in scripture. But they're not going to be scrolling Facebook or Pinterest or TikTok or anything like that or playing a game. They're not going to do that because you now have their attention and they now are curious what you are going to say and where you're going with this. And personally, I'm probably going to use stories. Just because I like to tell people about the things that I've gone through that have brought me closer to Jesus. And sometimes you can combine those. Like humor and story. There have been many times that my youth pastor has combined those two, where he's telling a story about himself, about his life, but it's quite humorous in the fact that he's doing something stupid because he's a teenage boy in some of these, or the fact that his friend's doing something stupid because, again, teenage boy. And not to say that teenage girls are any better. There are definitely some humorous things that I have done that it's like, oh my word, why did I do that? And so I'm hoping by the time that I become a pastor, I'm going to have some good stories to tell that will combine that humor aspect with my story. And I hope this helps you get your audience's attention. Bye.